Ladies and gentlemen, inductee Ralph Wilson Reed. Albertville Aggie team captain and honor student Ralph Bulldog Reed was a two-time All-State lineman in 1945 and 46. Here, Ralph, 81, is shown with Coach Pat Currington and his teammate Charlie Biddle. The year was 1946. Ralph's coach at Sewanee, Coach Bill White, nicknamed Ralph Bulldog Reed. Ralph attended Sewanee in Tennessee on an academic scholarship where he acquired many honors in the classroom and on the football field. The little All-American and captain of the football team in 1950 left Sewanee in 1951 with a degree. He got married a day after graduation to Martha Jean Wilbanks, and with a degree in hand, he joined the Marines a month later during the Korean conflict. He was critically wounded September the 5th, 1952 on Bunker Hill and received the Purple Heart. Ironically, the day he was wounded was the date of his wife's birthday. In this photo, Mary Cobb Bennett with Ralph. She was Ralph's first cousin. This picture was made in San Francisco when Ralph was recovering from wounds received in Korea. He came here on a hospital ship and stayed with Mary and her husband, Dr. Claude Bennett. Mary is now Mary Baker, married to Clyde Baker, and lives in Gunnersville. In recent years, she found this photo and mailed Linda Ruth, the daughter of Ralph Reed, a copy. Also in the note she mailed along, it said, "Your father was handsome, kind, even-tempered, generous, non-complaining, and gifted with a great sense of humor and a deep chuckle. And he was intelligent, had unusual common sense, and possessed a deep spiritual presence. He was a hard worker on the farm and a super player when playing football, quite strong." This private to captain in the Marines earned his master's degree in English at the University of Alabama. He then coached 3 years at Albertville with a record of 29-1. One season, his team was 9-1. After a year as an assistant principal, he moved to Arab. In March of 1958, Reed established the Arab Tribune. The first issue of the Arab Tribune came out March 27, 1958. Ralph's grandson, Brian, was born 20 years later on March 27. He worked tirelessly to organize Little League Baseball in Arab. Ralph's brothers were all a part of the Aggie football tradition. Pictured in this photo behind their parents and sisters, left to right, Clifford, Frank, Neil, and Ewell, all Aggie greats. Young Reed, at age 28, was the only candidate who was nominated to the Marshall County Board of Education, May 6, 1958. The primary he won without a runoff. 5 days later, an intoxicated driver hit the bus that he was riding in, ending a life that had done so much for humanity. Mrs. Reed and 42 children from Union Grove Junior High were injured. Mrs. Reed was sponsor of the class that had attended the Grand Ole Opry and was returning home. 30 years later, in 1988, the Phi Gamma Delta Library at the University of the South in Sewanee, Tennessee, was named the Ralph Wilson Reed Memorial Library. All-American Ralph Reed. Accepting are the daughters Linda Word and Janet Willis.
We accept this award tonight in memory of our daddy, and I guess the youngest of us gets to do the talking. But we also want to accept it on behalf of the entire Reed family, because they, along with other family members and friends, are the ones that have kept our daddy's memories alive for us for the past 44 years. Because his death occurred when we were so very young, it's through their telling stories to us about him that we have learned not only what a good athlete he was, but what a kind of person he was. Our grandmother and granddaddy Reed were so proud of all their children and grandchildren, as are all grandparents. But those of you who knew my granddaddy knew that he rarely ever missed an opportunity to tell people about the accomplishments of his children and grandchildren. But it was a little bit harder when it came to talking about our daddy, but he showed us in his own way. One of his favorite places to go was Sewanee, and his favorite time of year was to go in the fall when the leaves were changing, and he would call and say, "Okay, when can you go?" And he made sure that we saw the football field where Daddy played, the athletic building where his All-American picture hung, where he went to church and to classes, and those are memories that we will always treasure. And so to the Hall of Fame Board and to others who have been involved tonight, we want to thank you for another opportunity to share in our Daddy's memories. Thank you.